bit of art, the Live Nation event that shocked, or the live television event that shocked the nation, Late Night with the Devil. I told you last week that this was my plan, and somehow I was able to follow through. Late Night with the Devil is out right now in theaters. It's not the easiest movie in the world to find, although, and I'm always looking for the scam. You know, like I'm looking for the scam on how to get into that movie theater for free. It's tough to believe that it's true, but it was reported in the trades. And if there's one space that won't lie, it's the trades. Variety magazine reported that last Sunday, Late Night with the Devil grossed $666,666. I don't know how that's possible. I think it made like $2.8 million for the whole weekend. But they said, and if they just report like information that the studio sends them, then that's fine. And then you go, well, it's harmless, right? Because it's cute. Whatever. It's not like they're saying they made $9 billion. They're saying maybe they made like 600,000, but they actually made 600, and they're reporting 666, 666. But then you're like, well, if that's the case, if you can just lie about numbers, people should just start lying about numbers. Regardless, maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe there was some kind of demonic intervention, because that's what this is all about. So Late Night with the Devil was fantastic. I loved it. I loved my whole experience, getting to go to a movie theater to see a movie like this. The horror genre has come a long way in the sense that not a lot of movies are making money. Movies that were a shoo-in, a safe bet to make $1 billion are no longer that safe bet. So they're looking at what's actually making money. Horror movies are doing it. And so you're seeing, I don't even want to say studios, because this is pretty independent. You're seeing chances get taken. You're seeing players take chances. Movie theater chains are taking chances. People are taking chances on these horror movies. And I hope people are showing up. $666,666 worth of people showed up last Sunday. So it's got to be something. I showed up last night. The theater wasn't empty on a Thursday night. I mean, it wasn't half full, but it was a Thursday night. What do you expect? So I say it's taking a chance because Late Night at the Devil, or Late Night with the Devil, is a movie that was like made for Shudder, the streaming service. Except instead of it just getting sent straight to the streaming service, they're doing a theater run first. But it's a quick run. I think it's going to be streaming middle of April, like April 16th, April 19th, something like that. It's, I think, going to find a life. It'll have a small life in theaters. It'll find a life streaming, but I think it'll find, hopefully, they'll find a way to get it in front of eyeballs for Halloween, because it's going to be able to find a big life. PK says ABBA is taking chances. When they do, they take a chance on me. Take a chance, take a chance, take a chance. So, that one got me. So, here's the premise of this movie. It's great. Late Night with the Devil is, the story is that this fella right here, Jack Delroy, who's played by David Desmalchi, who you'll recognize, he's in like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I think maybe the second two he was in. He's been in a ton of stuff. He's been in especially a bunch of horror movies. He always like plays somebody that's slightly off. But this is the first time that I've ever seen him carry an entire movie. And he did a phenomenal job. He plays this talk show host in 1977 named Jack Delroy. Jack Delroy is Johnny Carson's competition. And he has this rise. And this is going to be non-spoilers, by the way. No spoilers here, because I want you guys to go see this if you're into it. I'm just going to tell you what the movie's about, what I thought about it, but I won't spoil it, so you'll still be able to have fun going to see it. So Jack Delroy has this great rise that inevitably gives him this late-night nationally syndicated talk show that competes with Carson, but by the time we get to 1977, Johnny Carson is just whipping him in the ratings left and right. So we get to Halloween night. It's sweeps week, and Jack is trying to pull out all the stops. He started to do a lot of stunting on his show. You see some Jerry Springer tactics and stuff like that. And on this Halloween night, He's doing a live show where he's going to bring in a girl who may or may not be possessed, right? As well as other people, somebody who, a clairvoyant who says that he can speak to the dead, as well as a skeptic that's based on The Amazing Randy, which I love because if you go back to those like TV shows from the 70s, those talk shows, some of the best clips are when the Amazing Randy is on there with like Uri Geller and people like that. Or I don't know if I think Uri Geller was one of them, but like the people who would bend spoons, or the people who would move stuff with their mind. Like there was one guy, he would just ruin careers, this Amazing Randy. There was this one guy who was like, I'm a mentalist, right? I'm a mind freak. And I can turn pages with no hands. And whoever the talk show host was, I got to see that. And the guy goes like this. And whatever. I don't know how he does it. But apparently he's blowing on the page, and that's how he's getting it up. But nobody can tell he's blowing on it. You can't hear it in the microphone or anything. So they go, that's amazing. You just turn the page with your mind. And they were like, Amazing Randy, what do you say? And Amazing Randy had this thing where he had like $100,000 blank check. Blank meaning the name was blank. For whoever could prove they were actually a clairvoyant, actually had this ability to communicate with from beyond the grave, actually had the ability to do this mentalist stuff. And so Amazing Randy goes, yeah, no, that was great. That was really impressive. And then he takes out like feathers and he like sprinkles them in front of the page. And he goes, can you do it again? And the guy looks at him. He can't do it because he knows that if he blows on the page, you'll see the feathers go everywhere. His trick is spoiled. He can't do it. And he's just like, no. And then he's ruined. And that's what the Amazing Randy used to do, just destroy dreams. So the way this movie is presented is the first bit of genius, okay? Because, like I said, it takes place in 1977, and you can see in the trailers that it's this talk show. But it's basically presented almost like a pseudo documentary, where the movie starts with this video package of background information, whatever, a few minutes of just background information. Here's who Jack Delroy was. Here is his life. Here was his rise. And they show, this is his wife, blah, blah, blah. His wife died, blah, blah, blah. But the meat of the movie, that's literally three minutes maybe at the top. The rest of the movie, the entire thing, they're like, okay, that's the background. Now we'd like to present to you for the first time the entire live broadcast of that show. And so what they presented as is he's doing this live show that they taped on Halloween night, and we're just going to show you the live show. And there were cameras rolling during the commercial breaks. So when the show goes to commercial break, and it's presented in like 4x3, like it looks like, it's an old tape of a 70s TV show. And then during the commercial breaks, they go to this widescreen format where it looks like it was shot on like black and white 16 millimeter film. So it's like, how do we know what they're saying during the commercials? Well, there was somebody with a camera that was rolling on it since it was a special Halloween show, and we combined that footage. That's why it makes sense that there's the intro package. They do the intro package and they say, we combine the show with the footage from the commercials to present to you what happened on that night. And you get to watch, the full show. And it moves. It's like hour and 26 minutes. It's real fast, but it moves at this pace because it doesn't cheat. There are no cheats. What you could do, and what they do a lot of times when they do movies like this, is they make it so like, oh, this is where the tape broke, and then we go right to this next scene. That way you don't have to do the whole show. But they don't do any of those cheats. They show the entire show from start to finish. So you feel like you go into this experience watching it, and it kind of sucks you in as if you're watching this show. That's the perspective that you're watching it from. Furthermore, because it's a live television show, not only do you feel at points like you're an audience member watching this television show in real time, but you're also taking the journey with these characters in real time because the television show is live. So it's basically like watching a movie that is happening over the course of real time. Like if this 90-minute movie was actually just 90 minutes as opposed to multiple days, weeks, months, years that they combine into this one thing. But then it gets darker, and they start it, so it's not spoilers, but it gets darker where this guest that they have on, who is this girl who has apparently, well, she's apparently got a demon who lives inside of her. She's possessed. But that's because she grew up with a satanic cult, and they show that there was this satanic cult in Los Angeles, and the cops came, and they burned themselves to the ground. But there was one girl that survived the whole thing, and this girl's been living with this doctor who's been trying to get her through this and everything. And then Jack convinces the doctor to do an exorcism type thing, like a summoning of the demon live on the show. And well, I'll just tell you, shit hits the fan. I'll say that. Shit absolutely hits the fan. But it's also tied to the fact that we find out in the open, so again, no spoilers, that Jack Delroy also had ties to the Grove, which is clearly in reference to the Bohemian Grove, which is this spot where the elite reportedly meet up once a year to, make their plans to control the world and whatnot. So you have all this stuff kind of baked in. And the fact that you don't see beyond the TV show and the production of the TV show, meaning you don't follow these characters home, you don't have a ton of flashbacks, you don't have all this stuff going on. You just see what's in front of you. You're presented all this information. And then as things are happening, you kind of piece it together. And it's got this nice slow build like a 70s talk show did. 70s talk shows did not have the pace of modern day television and certainly not modern day internet. Like 70s talk shows would have spaces for silence. The interviews would go on long. They'd kind of be figuring it out as they went. You see that how you just immediately slowed it down. So you have those moments in this movie. But it ends up building to the point where you're like, there's something going on. There's something going on. Build. And the third act is just absolute insanity. It's tremendous. You also have this thing that what I was worried about walking in was that it was going to be like a parody of the 70s. That it wasn't going to be so much like, oh, this is like a show from the 70s. It was going to be like, haha, look at how big their lapels are. Can you believe they wore clothes like that? What is this? Look at those burn sides on them. Look at those hairdos. What is this, the 70s? Ha, 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 ha. And I'd be like, okay, that's right. You're taking me out of it. It was not a parody of that. They tried to make it like legitimate for the time. And then, that way they can suck you in and then boom, 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 boom. We're on this roll and here we go. The possession I also enjoyed. The element of the demonic possession, because I don't necessarily love movies that are all about the demonic possession. The Exorcist did it and they did it great. But they've already done it. If you I didn't see the new Exorcist. I heard it stunk. I don't need movies that are completely about a possession and an exorcism. Here, it's just a part of it. And just over here on the side, by the way, you also, it's essential to the story, but ultimately, this is a movie about Jack Delroy, not about the little girl who's possessed. So the fact that the Jack Delroy is just this character that's interacting with this girl who's possessed, I don't know, for whatever reason, that's what's up my alley. So I enjoyed it very much. I would definitely recommend you guys checking it out. And look, do you need to see it in a theater? No, it's going to be streaming. You'll be able to watch it streaming. And like I said, most of the movie, the vast majority of the movie is in like 4:3. So you're not even getting the big theater aesthetic. But, if you care at all about these movies getting made, if you care at all about this stuff existing, then I think that these are the types of movies that you should see in theaters. I think it's much better in general to make an effort to see movies like this as opposed to big giant blockbuster movies, because everybody's going to go see those big giant blockbuster movies. The more of us that see movies like this in theaters, the more they'll put movies like this in theaters, which is ultimately what we want. And I'll talk to you later about the next, I think, movie theater trip that I'm going to make. Hopefully. But this movie is not without controversy. People are divided on this movie, some without even seeing it. The controversy came up because there were reports that Late Night with the Devil used something worse than Satan himself. Maybe something that Satan put on this planet. Artificial intelligence. AI. People are outraged that Late Night with the Devil reportedly used AI. And they went to these, it's this like, I think Australian, I want to say, set of brothers that wrote and directed this movie. And they go, is this true? This can't be true. You didn't use AI in this movie, did you? That's the worst thing you could do. And they said, yeah, we used it a little bit. So as it turns out, they used AI, and I've got an example of it here. They used AI. So as I said, this is, it's meant to feel like you're watching a 70s television show. And that television show is called Night Owls with Jack Delroy. That's why it says Night Owls with Jack Delroy right there, see? But so they said that in 3 images, and every time they go to break, they have one of these images up. And they said 3, you got the wrong AI, B-Herb. They said 3 of images that they used like this were made through AI. And there are some people that are furious because they go, that would have been my dream job. I'm an artist. I'm a graphic designer. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to do that, and I can't do that because you've decided to use free AI. And by the way, a lot of this AI is using elements from art that artists have actually created. So it's like you're stealing one piece at a time. It's almost like you're BitTorrenting pieces of art all over the place to compile a new piece of art. It's not fair. Look, I don't think that AI is a fair thing. I don't even think when you really break it down that AI is a great step forward for human evolution. If anything, it's like us submitting to the fact that, yeah, I think we've done what we came to do. We'll let the computers take it from here. But all that said, number one, they only used it on these interstitial things, right? It's not like they took, first of all, it's an independent movie. So if you're a graphic designer, you're getting paid $38 to do all 3. All 3, $38. We'll do 12 a piece, 38 for all 3. You'll get a little more if you do all 3. So the fact that, like, you know, it's like, it is what it is. I also think in a bigger picture sense, as much as I get it, and as much as it's not great news, you can't fight the future. You can't fight technology. When the future comes and goes like, hey, this is what we've got now. This is where technology has led us. Like you can't be on the side that goes like, let's just make it so that nobody can use it. Everybody's got to figure out how to use it in a way that doesn't make you obsolete. It's the only option. It doesn't mean it's fair. It just means it is what it is. They said, by the way, that they used like an image editor with it. They said, we got it from AI, but then we used an image editor. But I don't really believe that. I think maybe like a Photoshopper would have put in Night Owls with Jack Delroy, because AI doesn't know how to spell. You know, when you have AI make graphics like this, they like put on shapes that look like letters, but they're not actually letters. It's very strange. But you can see here, like to that same concept, like see how like on this skeleton, that one eye is a triangle and the other eye is just like a smudge. Or this, when you look at it quickly, it looks like a face. But as you stare at it, like these aren't eyes, that's not a nose, that's not a mouth, like it's not there. This is the same way. This looks like it's a perfect face. But there's like an eye over here, there's no eye there. The nose is bigger than the eye. The mouth doesn't go all the way. So it's clearly an AI thing, if you ask me. And I think that when you look at bigger movies and when you look at bigger parts of movies, if something looks like AI made it, it's going to be completely distracting. It's going to be that uncanny valley thing where you look at it and you go, this is taking me out. I mean, even when you look at YouTube, and you look at some of these thumbnails, they're clearly AI. There's something creepy about it. And that may, and who knows, maybe that's the protection that human beings have against AI, that there's something in our brain that when we see something that looks like it was completely AI produced, We get creeped out by it. I find it very creepy. That's probably eventually what's going to save us. So, yeah. I mean, it certainly didn't stop me from seeing the movie. Like, and like they used AI. They used AI in like the Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse movies. They've used it all over the place. So it's not, them saving $38 by making these images it didn't cost anybody anything. It didn't stop anybody from doing anything. I'm sure puppeteers got real pissed when CGI got popular. Because, yeah, people still got to operate the CGI, but not puppeteers. They don't know anything about CGI. What are they doing? What about that guy who used to make, like, styrofoam bricks to make it look like a building had just collapsed? He's not needed anymore. What's he doing? It's the way of the world.